Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of our May Google Be With You iPad edition. So, what I'm going to show you is tips and tricks to using your iPad to support our Google experience. So, I'm going to be showing you things like how to make sure you have the appropriate apps, how to make sure your students are signing in and out properly, especially when they're shared devices, and how we can take advantage of using this creativity tool to enhance what we're handing in to our Google Classroom. So the first thing that we're going to note is that in Edmonton Catholic schools, often our iPads are shared devices. We only have a couple of schools that have one-to-one iPads. So it is really, really important that, first of all, we make sure we put in a ticket to have all of the different Google apps installed. And second, I'm going to be taking you through the crucial step of having your students sign in and out. And so I'm just going to show you what that looks like here. So the first thing you want to do is make sure, do you have all the different Google apps installed? When you're using an iPad, it's a very different environment than a browser experience where I can simply go from tab to tab and use different services. On an iPad, I do have to have the individual app installed for each thing that I'm wanting to use. So my by far favorite app, of course, is Google Classroom, but I need to have my Google Drive attached, slides, docs, sheets, any of those tools that I want to be able to use. So now that I have them installed, it's really important to note that your students have to sign into these different individual apps. They not only have to sign in, we have to make sure that they're removing the users before it goes to another student, because the next student that comes in here is going to have access to their entire drive and all of the content in it. And we know that that goes very wrong when it comes to security and privacy. So the first thing your students are going to have to do is they're going to sign in. Now, because I use this iPad, it remembers that it's me. But what I can do is I can manage those accounts. And I can go through and I can say, which ones do I want to be able to remove from this device? So I've signed in, I can use my Drive, I can use Classroom, I can use all the different pieces, but then I'm going to want to remove it from the device. So if I want to switch from here and I want to go into slides, same thing, it'll ask me to sign in. It knows that I was in another app. Notice I've already done the password process. I've already signed in. And so it lets me be able to access this as me. That's why it's so very, very important to make sure that you're managing those accounts. When I'm done, I want to be able to say, I'm managing the account on this device. I want to remove it from this device. Notice it will not only remove it from this particular app that I was using, it's all other Google apps on the device as well. So this is a very handy feature because if you have your kids using maybe Google Classroom and slides and docs all in one kind of day or session, as long as they remove the account from one of the services, it will automatically sign them out of all the others. I can remove that account, and now it's ready for someone else to be able to use again. So by far, one of my most favorite apps when it comes to the iPad is actually the Google Classroom app. Even though it's an app, it actually has a lot more functionality and different features that I can't do when I'm using just the browser alone. So a couple of the things that I really, really enjoy is, first of all, that I can use digital inking and handwriting. This isn't available in any of the other apps on the browser. So what I'm going to do is I could take you into one of my classes. When I go into one of the classes, I can automatically see that, of course, I have my classwork tab, and we were doing some video analysis. Now I can see all of my different students. So let's just take Dane's. He probably doesn't have anything in this doc right now, but at least for demonstration purposes, I would be able to write on this. Now we can see here that he has, oh good, Dane's video analysis. I want you to notice that if I'm using the iPad, there is the pencil in the top right-hand corner. What this does is it allows me to ink up on this particular document. I can choose different colors, I can choose different pens, I can write on it, I can give a little bit of feedback, I could use some diagrams, whatever that is that I need to do. As soon as I hit save, what it does is it actually saves it as an annotated PDF, and it doesn't actually interfere with the student's original work. That original work stays as it was. They will just simply have another attachment in their Google Classroom with my different pieces that I was able to edit it on. Now, that inking for feedback isn't only restricted to teachers. As a student, I could also just do some inking and hand it into the classroom by opening up a blank PDF. So this is what I mean. If I was to go into Dane's class that I'm a student in, and I'm going to go into the classwork tab to something that he has assigned me. So for here, he wanted an alternative ending. It really could be anything. One of the things that I'm going to do, I'm just going to unsubmit this. One of the things that students have whenever they are inside of their classroom is they have the ability to add and to be able to create. In the iPad version of this, what I can see is as soon as I'm inside an assignment, I see that little plus button called Add an Attachment. Now, this is where I could take something straight out of my drive that I've done. I can add a link, upload a file, I can pick a photo, I can even use my camera straight from here. But one of the things, if you just scroll up a little, is it says New PDF. What this does is it just simply opens up a blank PDF that I can now completely use to be able to do some inking. So if I wanted to, I could be that student that was showing how I can create an array. And now I'm able to simply use this inking wise. Now, don't feel like you have to have a brand new iPad and an Apple Pencil. Kids can do this with their fingers, just using the touch screen. As soon as I've gone in here and I can ink, this could be sketch notes, this could be telling a story, just anything. What would be so great is now they can just say save. It's now created that inking that I was able to do. And now I'm simply be able to have that attached. Notice it already has the name of the assignment and it has my name attached to it. And students were able to completely do that inking in this PDF without even having to have a special app for it. We can also take advantage of all the other things that we can add. For example, students can use their camera. And right here, I've got my iPad device and I can take a picture of anything that I want to be able to hand in. I can use that photo and now that has been added to the Google Classroom and it's going to be attached and handed in to my teacher. So it's a really fantastic way just to be able to say, okay, great. I want to be able to use an image, take a picture maybe of a scientific procedure that I've done, some math manipulatives that I've used. Maybe we're on a field trip and we're documenting different parts of a field trip that we've done. Using the camera is a really fantastic way for students just to be able to show visually what they've learned. The other thing that's really amazing about being able to use the iPad is there's also a screen recorder tool. So yes, we have the camera app where kids can be able to take images and videos and hand that into the Google Classroom. But what if we wanted to show some processes that they were doing, maybe even on other apps right on the iPad? Well, what we can do with the updated iOS is we can now have a screen recorder of students using other apps. So in order to use the screen recorder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my settings menu to be able to enable it. You can see here I have my screen recorder. It's going to count down in order to be able to record my screen. Now, in this particular case, I'm recording on a screen and I'm casting on a screen, so you can see how this is a bit of a conflict. But as soon as I click this, it will actually count down for me. And now what the students are going to be able to do is then go into another app, open up the app that they're working on, be able to have that screen recorder show their different processes of what they're doing, and talk to their teacher about it. As soon as they hit stop on the screen recording, it's automatically saved for them, and now they can simply add that as an attachment to the Google Classroom. Another really handy Google app I wanted to show you was a photo editing app that sometimes gets underused, and that's being able to use Snapseed. Snapseed really allows you to create some fun and beautiful images that, again, you can hand into your Google Classroom. I've included a sheet for you to be able to look for the different ones. I'm just going to go here and see if I can find something that's not too crazy. There, me and Mary were playing with a little bit of green screen. What you're going to notice inside this app is that there's those basic sort of filters that come along with it that you can apply to different things. Again, you also, though, have a full editing toolbar. So now you can do some different things, like if you wanted to be able to create different colors, balance, different looks, you can do all of these different things. I do like the healing feature. If I wanted to get rid of Chris Pratt here in the background, I can go through here and say, you know what, let's just blend him in a little so he's not standing out as much. So it is a nice way to sort of get rid of things. I can also look at other types of tools. Like for example, maybe I wanted to do a lens blur so that I have just my foreground is what I want to be able to focus on, and I want the background to be a little bit more blurred. I would be able to do something like that. Of course, I can have other little things, like maybe I want to add a vignette, or perhaps I just want to go through and I want to play with the different types of balances. So I can go in here and I can look at, maybe I want to change the curve of different things, where I want my my light, my presets, my channel, all these different things I can adjust. So it is really fun to be able to come in and edit your pictures and do different types of work with students to sort of make neat things that they can hand into the classroom, knowing that all of these different ones are now going to be able to be saved to their camera roll for them to use for something else. So that sort of just scratches the surface of being able to use the different iPad apps when it comes to Google. But just knowing some of those basic things that, there's always that app for that, and making sure that you sign in and out of the different apps and really taking advantage of what exactly you can do with Google Classroom as a student and as a teacher is really fantastic. So I hope you give some of these tips and tricks a try, and we're definitely going to have more iPad videos for you in the future. Thanks for joining us for this episode.